several ways we can set this up. We can start at 1, which means my counter is going to start at number 1, or I can start at 2 if I wanted to, and go to n. What that's doing is when you say doff your x of i's and then your f of x of i's, in your 2 columns, right? Those of you who stayed and actually did this, into matrix A. So the first one here, and the last one, I'm not going to include this for loop because I want to double my final result at the end because it's 2 times of each time in the middle, right? Are you with me? Yes. You've done the trapezoidals here, right? Here, right? This is trapezoidal. We can write this. We came up with this on our own. Feel that? You're welcome. Good trip. Notice I'm doubling all of the middle ones. If you remember, when you set this up, actually I think this went to n. Yeah, so notice everything's skewed. It's actually, this is 1, right? As far as row. Then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. And then this is going to be 7 down here, if n equals 6. It's actually n plus 1, right? Because we can't start at 0, as far as the row number. So this is row 1. Row n plus 1. Even though we start the indices at 0, we need to keep track of this. We got to keep everything straight. So I'm going to start for j starting at row 2. You see how I did that? I started at 2. And it's going to go down to n before n plus 1. So it's going to go to this one here. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. Knock it over. Make sure you never understand what's going on. I'm trying to capture this.
I wrote down
The part of the program that I'm trying to do right now is just trying to get this summation. I set this up like this. I initiated, or initialized, pardon me, I initialized m and started off as 0. I emptied it out.
Is this only for the people that have the program and they have the whole program, all of it?
This is, well, I'm basing it on the people that stayed the whole time. People who left early are on their own. So.
Right.
Okay, so this says j is going to start at 2. I want it to start at row 2. It's always going to be column 2, right? I'm adding up the f of whatever's in this case. And it's only going to go to n. This is row n here, the one right before it. So this in here matches this. This one and this one are the 2 outliers. They're the only ones that aren't double. You with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that n minus 1 or is it supposed to be plus 1?
N minus 1. Because here I get to start at 0. As far as the rows go, I have to start at 1. Yeah, so everything's, and you have to keep all that straight. So let's take the first piece. When j starts at 2, when j starts at 2, it's going to take f of x of 1 and add that to 0 and store that off as a number. So whatever number that becomes. That's now my new m. Then it's going to become 3. When j equals 3, I'm now the next one down. And it's going to add every single one of these up until it hits the nth row, which is right above this one here. And at the end, I'm going to get m. M is just the summation.
We want to display.
You can display whatever you want. It's your program. I wouldn't display it. This is all internal. You're the user. You don't give a crap, right? Who cares? So to come up with the final answer, I'll go back all through this. I'm going to take I'm going to let you piece all that together. What's that? I would.
The confusion is that you use K instead of M.
I use K for the other loop. I'm using M for this loop.
So is this the only program?
This is a new loop. This is after you've already run that part of the program and stored off these values. So this is after.
Okay, so when we put N on the last program, clearly N is on that.
No, we're using the same N. That's, the user's input N, right? We're going to use that.
He's saying end. He's saying, are you adding this to the nodes program?
This is, okay folks, so I want you to logically think through this. If you wrote a program already that generated all of these values and generated all of these values, then after it has generated all of that, we are now using those values. So this, all of this would be after all of that part of the program.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we can just enter in all that stuff after this.
I would recommend it, but that's up to you. Now, what I did here, this is going to keep storing off to m. So I took the first piece, which is the top row, the last piece, the bottom, and added it to double that because of the 2 in the formula. That's this plus that. Then multiply that whole thing by what you call d, and divide that by 2.